Hi, everybody, and welcome to Pop Therapy, a podcast where we explore the intersection between psychology and pop culture. There's so much to unpack. So let's get started. Well, look who's come crawling back to my podcast. The 0 people listening. That's me talking to them. Hi, everybody. So one of the things that I've been doing a lot for this podcast is editing it. So I'm like a one-man show here, right? And as I'm listening to the episodes, I'm just like noticing how hard editing is, honestly. And so this is kind of like a warning. So if you are listening to an episode and you're like, you know what, the quality's not that good. Like the audio quality is not that good. I hear a little bit of like, there's like a sound in the background, or Omar says the word like a lot. I just want you to know, I know. So I'm well aware. I am listening to my voice, myself, hours on end editing, which is my 9th circle of hell, having to listen to myself on audio recording, trying to get rid of like dead air and trying to delete as many the word likes as possible and all of that. So whatever feedback you have, you do not have to share it with me. I'm just letting you know. I already know. Daddy is doing his best. Okay. So with that being said, I'm so excited to have our next guest with us. You might be familiar with his work on stage and screen. He's currently in Taylor Mack's off-Broadway show, Prosperous Fools. You also might know him because maybe you're one of his hundreds of thousands of followers on social media. And last but certainly not least, you might know him as co-host of the GLAAD Media Award nominated podcast, Tres Leches. Please welcome Ian Paget.
Hello. Or what would I say? I'd say like, hola, beautiful souls. How are you? ¿Cómo están todos? You know what I mean? I'd be like,
that's your pod. That was like your podcast voice intro, your intro.
Yeah, I'm going for podcast voice / like evening at basement wake up moment. You know what I mean? For anyone who knows what that means, and if you're gay and you're listening, you know exactly. You quite literally know what I mean when I say like, oh, he went to basement last night.
Sexy. How was it? I didn't know it was last night.
I never know it is the night it is when I'm going to basement.
That is a fair
somehow
point.
I end up there, and I would like this month, these last couple weeks, like if friends are like, we're going, I've just kind of said yes to it because I think for when I first moved back from LA, I don't know, because last year I moved back and I was like, oh, everyone's going to this place called Basement or this party called Wrecked and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And I was just like, not my tea. Like, I'm not a big techno person. Like,
and it's always a one-word thing, like basement, wrecked, trashed, hole. It's always something like
the
that.
party that I never miss and I usually always go to is Shame. I'm always an attendee there, but I'm trying to not go to Shame anymore.
You're in good company. So, I'll tell you, as a therapist, you are in good company.
So I'm doing, courageous acts to quite literally like get away from my shame. So let me just dig deeper into a place called Basement. No, but it was really fun. And I actually love nights that kind of are super spontaneous, like they weren't planned, but also because, as you know, listeners, if when you're listening to this, World Pride is happening in DC currently.
Oh, that's
it is
right.
their last day on this Sunday. And like some friends were planning this party, we're not in World Pride DC party situation and like a little bit of a hang. So it had this like Thanksgiving Miami vacation, let's just see who's out in Ibiza on like an off week energy to it. Which I love. Like I love that kind of time, like that energy, because you don't know who you're going to see out is exciting because you're not going to see the same boring ass faces.
And I feel like everyone usually is on the same page. So you get like a hodgepodge of people usually, but everyone kind of gets it. It's like, no, this is sort of a random night. So everyone get on board, get on the same page. Don't be weird. Be nice. And like,
don't be weird. I'm not going to lie. I was weird to one person yesterday. I went up to a crush of mine who like there's been like wishy-washiness with like energy between us.
Oh,
I will not, and I can't get into our specifics because then the person will know who we're talking about. But like, at one point they walked by with their boyfriend like so many times, and I was just like, am I gonna? Because I just couldn't tell like where I stood with this person energetically, and the way we originally met, it was giving flirty vibes, and then all of a sudden it's shifted. And if there's one thing I hate, it's when like you put yourself kind of on the menu and then you took yourself off, but you didn't tell me you took yourself off, and now all of a sudden it's like you make me feel like there was no restaurant ever, and I hate that. So then I'm like, I hate
wishy-washy.
I hate wishy-washy.
I would rather you tell me I think you are the most hideous person on earth than me have to guess or wonder, be like, wait, what's what's going on here?
Well, since we're jumping right in, I should tell you, and I think I'm just like, it's a bit of a vulnerability hangover, because at one point he was in front of me, and then like on a bit of a stoop was the boyfriend, which I clocked, and like he was dancing with other people or something, and then we were just in front of each other again in this awkwardness, and we have a lot of awkward moments. I was just like, I just kind of looked at him and I was like, I have so many questions. And he was like, yeah. He's like, what are your questions?
Oh, you literally said I have so many. That's usually what I say in my head.
No, I said it out loud. I literally was like, I just don't care right now, because
go for it.
You're noticing it anyway. I know you feel it.
He has to.
I like being direct, and when I turn into the wishy-washy person, I feel like a 12-year-old little girl. So I was like, my one question is, I was like, I looked at him and I was like, well, one of them is like, can I kiss you right now? And he was like, we can't do that right now. And he like points at boyfriend. He's like, we're figuring stuff out. And I was like, okay. Okay. And then I was kind of frustrated because I was like, okay, you're being honest. And then I was like, well, since we're here, and I was like, so like, are we attracted to each other or not?
Then you're like, and another thing.
Yeah. And he just kind of like laughed, but uncomfortable. And he's like, this person is really asking me this at basement while fucking house techno is playing. And I honestly love it. Like, to all the listeners, like, just know I am living relatability life for you. And I'm being a direct, assertive, crazy mess of a person so that you don't have to. And so I said, so like, are we attracted to each other or not? And he, just a petulant child who, like, if I don't get what I want, I just need an answer. We'll get more on that in 45 minutes when we get to Omar's questions. Anyway, and he was like, yeah, he's like, I think you're hot. But, and he like kind of trailed off and like didn't say anything. And I was like, okay. And like, that wasn't the answer I was looking for, but it at least made me feel like, okay, so you do know you've been acting weird. Like,
he's picking up. Yes, he's picking up the same thing.
You haven't introduced me to your fucking boyfriend. Like,
I'm assuming open, right? Imagine.
Correct.
But they're figuring stuff out. So,
but I don't know what figuring stuff out means when like you have found me on Grindr and you have like sent me your album.
That's
before you knew it was me.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, you're open, and I think for some reason there's weirdness with me, and I don't know why.
Oh, maybe it's you in particular.
Yes, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me.
Well, I also find that interesting because he's like, oh, we're figuring stuff out. Meanwhile, a boyfriend is somewhere else.
Well, he was just like, dancing up there. Like,
dancing over there. Like,
and I know I'm being a little vague with like my details here.
Of course.
The way we met was like very flirty. And I was like, oh, you let me know you were kind of into this. I gave you my number on a Post-it. A lot of time went by.
Oh, I love that. Old school.
Yeah.
Bring back writing your number down on a piece of paper, please. I think that is one of the classiest moves. I think that is so like classy and bold and like adult. And
bold has been said about it. Yes, I have been told it's a very bold thing.
Have you?
That's me.
Do you know boyfriend? Have you interacted with boyfriend?
Well, I did last night because 2 weeks well, God, so much. They just moved here to New York City.
Okay,
and so like we've not really been in each other's circles ever. And then I saw them at the same place 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Okay,
and I clocked how he didn't introduce him, and I was like, okay, so you're not going to introduce me. Okay, that's weird. And then so today or yesterday. Well, it was today. It was 3 a.m. and he walked by again, and then like the boyfriend was right behind him, and I literally was like, I'm going to let the boyfriend know that you know me. So he was walking. I'm literally, this episode is like the bold and the bolder. He walked in front of me and like didn't say hi or introduce boyfriend. So I was like, I'm going to let the boyfriend know that we know each other, right?
Yeah.
And so I like grabbed the back of his head. I'm a crazy person.
Oh my
kind of, like I grabbed the back of his head with like that kind of like hi, like a hi energy,
like little
you know? Yeah.
tickly.
And then boyfriend who was right behind him saw a hand and like looked back. And I was like, hello. Like, he's like, hi. He's like, Ian. And I'm like, okay, so you know who I am.
The plot thickens.
And I was like, hi, yes.
Interesting.
Like, what's up? Not how, you know, I'm just
You're
like,
right.
can we just
trying to be nice. You're just like trying to be nice and cordial oh man.
And like,
I mean,
I would do it with both of you.
Right. And
I would do it with both of you.
Listen, I don't know the inner workings of this relationship or most relationships, but if I were a boyfriend and I was not introduced, I'd be like, oh, there's going to be a problem. There's going to be an issue. So, but I mean, like he said, they're figuring stuff out. So
I guess it was so, again, another wishy-washy energy. And I was like, you are... I love like a nerd who like kind of has straight energy, but I know you're gay and like you're literally at basement with me. So I know you're gay. But I took a test a couple months ago. That's like the kind of ENFJ something that you are, like whatever test that is. And one of the things that it told me I am, which I completely agree with, is I can the T in mine is like I get turbulent around when I cannot read a certain person's energy in a room. So like I could be at a party and 6 people that I could be vibing with, and the 7th, who is very quiet and who doesn't give me adulation. No, but like just an attention where I know where I stand with them energetically. Drives me like I'm the whole
because
time
then
I'm
you
wondering
try to fill
why
in the
don't
blanks.
you
Right.
Yes.
You're like trying to fill in the blanks and be like, wait, so what is your deal? What do you think of me? How do you feel about me? Like,
yes.
Because then you use that. I would imagine it's important for you to know, because then you use that in order to understand how you should behave and how you should interact and what you should do.
Yeah. Listen, I fully know I am an extra person. I'm a bit of a nutso person when it comes to certain aspects. And I think I'm not as awkward as I am, but I know I'm reading awkward, blah, 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 and all this stuff. I'm super bold. But then, like, I am a very kind of, like, sensitive person to the energies around me. So if I can feel that, like, there is a weirdness, I just want to know what the weirdness is.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, fine, we don't have to hook up. I don't need to meet the boyfriend, and we don't need to be in a throuple. That's not what I'm asking.
Yeah,
but why are you acting weird?
Yeah,
I can clock it.
Over time, I've developed what's the word? Like the reaction when I sense weirdness. That's when I know, or not even weirdness, but like wishy-washiness, like ambivalence.
Yes.
When I sense that, where I'm like, wait, what? Like you're flip-flopping here. That's a sign to me that I need to walk away. Because I'm like, I am not going to put in the emotional labor here to like help you tell me what the hell is going on. Like I need someone to be able to say what they're actually thinking or how they actually feel about me. And again, even if it's I really don't like you, I would prefer that over what is going on here. You know what I mean? Because like, what could you have possibly have done for things to be weird? That's the other thing too. If it's like a stranger or someone I just met, I'm like, you don't even know me and you're being weird to me. This is your problem. This is a you problem. Like, I can't figure this out for you.
And again, I know I'm leaving out many, many details that would kind of slightly more explain this, but like,
it makes it a mystery.
A little bit,
like
but you know, I'll leave you with one thing where you're like, okay, like maybe that could explain, but still, it's like he became my subletter. So like we met because I gave him my number on a Post-it, and then months went by and a friend of mine sent me a story because I was trying to sublet my apartment, and I was like, oh my God, I know that name. And I was like, wait, I know who that person is. They're like, I know. I remember when you told me the Post-it story. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I reached out and I was like, hello, we haven't talked since that day when nothing happened again because you were ambivalent. But I have an apartment and would you want to live in it and blah, blah, blah. And he ended up living in my apartment. And so there was this like weird way that like he entered into my literal life and space. I remember I was in LA and I was like so giddy about it because I was like, oh my God, like the boy I thought was so cute is he's like in my apartment. And like I remember when he first moved in that night, I like was so, how are things? He's like, it's good. Because he hadn't really ever seen the apartment until the day he moved in.
Oh wow. I feel like that is such a New York thing. People stay doing that here in New York. And
listen, I sent him good amount of pictures and like what you saw is what you got. Like it's a beautiful apartment, blah, blah, blah. But I was so like, okay, like sleep well. Like I hope you have a good night. You know, like I was like so excited he was there. But fair warning to listeners: never sublet your apartment to a crush, because then when they need to move out or break their contract a little early. Unless if you're not me, then I guess you would just enforce them to pay you still. But if not, and you're like, I don't want him to not like me, so it's okay. Just pay me for half the month. That level of
Ian.
It's
heart
okay.
of gold. Heart of gold.
I know. I mean, if you saw him, you'd get it too. He's just such a little cutie. Anyway, so I wonder if like that changed things. Just like, oh, like is it because now I'm not just some stranger who gave you his landlord number, and like now like we are in each other, you know, people get weird about we
all
only
sorts
look up
of
with
things.
People who aren't friends, and I'm like, girl, we're not friends, I'm never gonna see you.
But also he could just say that. He could say, listen, I think you're so cute, but
you're right,
you're my landlord, and sorry, it has to be a stranger that we will never see again. Done. So simple, everyone. It's a lot simpler than we make it out to be. I promise you.
I know, but
I appreciate your boldness. I think we need more of that. We need a little bit more of just like, hey, so what's the deal? Just like,
no, actually, what I said was, so are we attracted to each other or not? It's a unhinged sentence that should never come out of a person's mouth unless it's like Carrie Bradshaw talking to Big. Like that's that level of like you say that to an ex, you say that to a boyfriend who you've had a history with, not a person who literally is
not
like
your tenant,
looking at you a little like you're nuts at basement. You know what I mean? But it makes for a good story.
Obviously, the whole time, the moment you mentioned that you wrote your number down on a Post-it, obviously, I thought of the Post-it episode in Sex and the City.
Sorry, don't
obviously, which leads me to my segue, which is I saw on Tres Leches you had Mario Cantone on.
Yeah.
That must have been so fucking exciting. What a thrill. I mean, he is forever etched in my mind because of that show in the best way possible. Like, when he first came onto the scene in the episode when Charlotte, and I remember this vividly, Charlotte is looking for a wedding dress. She's freaking out. Samantha is like, you need to hire a stylist. And she's like, oh my God, amazing. Hires a stylist. And like the second he was on the screen, I was cracking up laughing. And I was just like,
flip phone. And he's like, hello.
Yeah.
Like, hi. Yeah. Okay. Oh, so great.
Tell me a little bit about the relationship between the two of you. How did y'all meet?
You know, a full circle moment happened with Mario. I think it was like 2019, 2018, I did a workshop of a new musical called Bliss the Musical that has still since it's not come to New York just yet. And I remember I got this cast list and I saw this name on the email and I was like, Mario Cantone. I was like, like, okay, like maybe there's a different Mario Cantone in the world or something. And I Googled him because I was like, oh, like, are there Playboy articles about him? Like in theater, I just didn't know that he had done theater.
Right.
And it was like, oh, I guess, yeah, he was in Assassins and he was in Love, Valor, Compassion. And I was like, oh, okay, so maybe he's in this. Like, I don't know in what capacity, right? And then first day of rehearsal, I'm learning music. He comes and he sits the fuck right next to me.
Aww.
And he was I just remembered being like, I was so nervous to meet him.
I would be sweating. I would absolutely be sweating my face off.
And he said it on when he came on Tres Leches, but you know, we joked. He's like, we picked each other. Like we just kind of were on the same vibe of like, he picked me and he was like, oh, he made a joke. He's like, who's this cute little boy? And he was like, I'm bored. It's just a cute little boy. And he makes a joke about that. But no, we just clicked, and through that process of the workshop, and then we did it in Seattle. We actually went and did like a production of this show.
Okay.
And so that's where we also got to be like really close, just because like, you know, I just had no reservations about asking him questions and being curious about him and letting him know that like I loved him, but also he wasn't so pedestalized in my head or in front of me that like I couldn't interact with him. I
Gotcha.
quite literally made it like so fun I was like, Ian, like this is a great person to be in your
You
life
humanized
right now.
him. You humanized him. Yeah, that's wonderful.
And he's gay and he's been around, and like he's one of the funniest people I know, and like we have grown to be so close. And he and his husband Jerry, who's also a very, you know, known Broadway vet and has been in many original Broadway shows, like they're kind of my like gay uncles. You know,
that's so lovely.
That's adding a little bit of age to them, like in a way that makes them feel like they're gay and they're uncle-y and but no, they're so vibrant, and but they're my two gay uncles in New York because they have experienced so much and they've been around through so much. Mario's career is so inspiring to me. Singer, comedian, like one of the first out comedians ever. And like doesn't get enough credit for being as out as he was.
Right.
Anyway, so I love that man so much, and we cook together, and he's just a big part of my life. And like through my last relationship was like there for me and was there with me with Chris, and when I was out with Chris, like it's nuts that like Anthony Marantino is like one of my best friends and a dear like when my parents come in a few weeks, like we're all getting dinner because he loves my dad, because my dad is in the business.
They've met already.
They haven't met, but he just knows, because my dad, for listeners who don't know, like my dad grew up in the movie business as well and has these crazy stories that I grew up like hearing and learning about or whatever.
Oh, that is fascinating.
And it's how Mario and I really connected, because we both, and it's another reason why Taylor Mack, who wrote the play I'm in now, they were like, I just love how old Hollywood you are. Like you just know so much about
that's
the time
the best
that
compliment.
Like, people your age don't know. And I was like, oh, that's because of my dad. Like I grew up watching a lot of old classic movies, and my dad is 89, you know, like we were late children, and like he just comes from like that age of cinema and taught it to me. Maybe my sister, it didn't, you know, receive it the same way, but like I remember it. And so like the Betty Davises and the Judy Garlands and the, you know, like we just know the same trivia. And so that was a big connection.
Love that when you reference the classics, I'm always a little nervous when someone is like, I love old movies. And then I'm like, good Lord, so help me God. If you say Clueless, I will scream. You are referenced like actual classics. So
yes, All About Eve, The Gone with the Wind.
Yes.
As problematic as they are, you know, Song of the South. God, I love that movie. Do you remember that movie?
Vaguely. I never watched the whole thing. Yes.
Okay.
Do you think that that's your relationship to performing and entertaining? Do you think that that's where that came from? Is that sort of where that was born from, your father sharing all these stories?
I think so. Like we had a nursery growing up, and I remembered like one of the walls had just a wall of all these videotapes that my dad had recorded every movie in the world, right?
Yeah.
And so like I grew up just watching these movies that he had taped. And so movie watching and film like has just been a thing I've always really been attracted to.
Right.
Like, and specifically like musical theater, like old, you know, like Shirley MacLaine movies and just like the classic musicals. Obviously, if you couldn't tell by like how I speak, I am made of The Sound of Music, which is a perfect film, by the way. That definitely had a big influence. And I went through a phase where like, you know, when I was raised in the UK and then we moved to the States, I wanted to be like a regular kid. And so I kind of rebelled from I didn't want to go to swim practice anymore. I didn't want to go to dance class. And I just literally wanted to be a regular kid.
Gotcha.
And so for about 2 or 3 years, I was that. And then high school, I got back into it because my dad found this performing arts high school called New World School of the Arts in Miami. And he was like, I think you and Sasha should audition. And
your sister,
you know,
Sasha,
my sister. Yes. Yeah. Sasha Paget. And we did, she didn't get in. I got in for straight acting. And then I switched to musical theater like halfway through the year because they were like, oh, he can sing. And that's kind of how it kind of reignited and started my, you know, performing again. But I have, as a gay kid, always kind of taken, you know, like solace in my movie. Like my movies were my escape.
Right.
And it was a way it's where I learned like what I loved. I was like, ooh, Gone with the Wind, Vivian Leigh, she's so gorgeous. Look at those dresses. Like I was really like the classic how a gay becomes gay. You're like Vivian Leigh's costumes in Gone with the Wind, not so much Judy Garland, Wizard of Oz, but maybe like Billy Burke as like, Glinda,
Right.
or the dancing in Moulin Rouge, like just West Side Story. I was always like, I want to be Rita Moreno. You know what I mean? Like
Rita Moreno. Yeah. That is, talk about a dream career. Talk about such an impressive resume. Yeah. What do you think the link is between being a little gay boy and like Broadway and musical theater and like classic Hollywood? What do you think that's about? Because it seems to be at this point a cliche, but not in a bad way. In like, it's a cliche because there's some truth to this.
You know, I've never had. That's a great question. But like what a thing in musical theater is like the song happens because there is no, you get to a point in the text where all of a sudden you cannot express with words enough. So there must be a song.
Oh, no way. I had no idea that was the, oh, interesting. Okay.
I don't know that that's like textbook Merriam-Webster, like how they do, but I remember a teacher of mine, one of my musical theater teachers, like, explain that once. She was like, you're singing this song because there is no other way to express this moment.
Right. Oh,
you
fascinating.
sing, oh, what a beautiful morning, because it's like, I have to sing that, you know? And
that's good for me to know because, to be honest with you, so musical theater is a cultural blind spot of mine, and not in a way that's like, ew, musical theater.
I'll fill those holes for you.
I'm just, if I had $1, it's just, it's just one of those things. I was like, it's never quite entered my mind, and I would always wonder, how do they justify the singing? That makes so much sense to me now. Now, like everything just clicked in my mind. Now I get it, where it's like you're so filled with like emotion or intensity that just speaking it won't quite convey. It won't do. It won't be enough.
Isn't that beautiful?
Wow. Wait, that's
Isn't
really
that amazing?
lovely. You just opened up this whole other world of musical theater for me now.
I'm so glad. And in your question I've never had to really think about it, but that I bring that up and I give that example because I just feel like Ian, or just gay boy, and the sort of growing up as a gay boy into musical theater connection is this. It was like a place or a way that I thought, oh, like how fun that they're expressing themselves in this way.
Right.
And I don't know, I was just really, really attracted to it. Like I remembered growing up and watching Sweet Charity and being obsessed with Rich Man's Frug and like anything Fosse did, and Cabaret, and like the way I idolized or like deified like Liza Minnelli, you know, and you're just like, oh, she's living. It's crazy. It's also why I love villains in
Disney.
Oh,
like
of course. The Ursulas and Maleficents, the dragginess, which now I know is a sort of like they're so gay coded, but at the time I didn't know why I was attracted to that, but I was.
It reminds me of like when I was like, oh, I like boys, like as a little kid being like drawn to men on the screen. I was like, I don't have the language for this. I don't know what this is called. I just know I am drawn to men.
Interestingly enough, hearing you say that, I actually was drawn to women. I was drawn to I was like, what a beautiful dress.
Right.
Look at what, again, I bring up Vivian Leigh because I just joke about, like, I remember when there's an iconic scene in Gone with the Wind where, you know, she's lost, the house is crazy and she needs to get money, but they won't let her in unless she kind of looks good. So she takes drapes and curtains from her house and makes a dress.
Right.
And, there's a crazy, amazing Carol Burnett skit that they do about it. But I just remembered being like, oh my God, the fabrics. Like, that's how gay I was, that I like clocked that, you know?
That's so cute.
Or like the before and after when like Sandra Dee becomes like Sandy in Grease. And I was always like, work, oh my God, the leather, like that level of pageantry I was attracted to. So to me,
and
I was
like
transformation.
and
John Travolta, like, you're okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
but it was
fine.
like the makeover. Look at Sandra's hair. Like that.
Clock the makeover, y'all. Yeah.
And I'm making up for that. Like now it's the boys I'm attracted to.
Yeah.
As you heard in the first 10 minutes of my beautiful anecdote. But like, it's interesting that like that's what kind of got me in, was like the sequence of it all.
Yeah. I think you're onto something, like the pageantry, the transformative properties of like the silks
beauty
and
and
the
what clothing can do,
and what clothing can do. Yeah, 100%. I mean, that I eat a makeover up. Like I eat that shit up every time. Put a makeover in a documentary and I will be like, this is the greatest documentary I've ever seen in my entire life. I love a makeover montage. The Mirror Has Two Faces, Devil Wears Prada, Grease. I'm just like, I can eat that shit up all day long.
And I know we really jumped there and hopefully you've gotten some sort of a version of an answer, but like in addition to that, musical theater ties into just like a place where I felt like, oh, like they're dancing and they're so athletic and how like it was so
physical
and like, you know, it was impressive. I just remember being like, oh, like look at what they can do. Like that is so cool. Right. And so I think I'm like, contrary to popular belief, musical theater is not for sissies. Like you have to learn how to dance, you have to learn how to sing, you have to learn how to fucking act. And if you're good at all three, like baby, like do you know what I mean? It's one of the hardest things to do.
Yeah. I mean, not that this is like the most important thing in the world, obviously, but it is so physical, so physically taxing. And then when I see y'all in bathing suits, I'm like, well, there's all the work. There it is.
Yeah, you're right. And what was it? Oh, and a level of like, there was something too that I was attracted to. And I don't know if you agree, like felt this, but like, you said Devil Wears Prada, and it's what I love about Meryl in that role. It's what I love about like the Maleficents and the Ursulas is it was the first time I heard and experienced like sass and like
I see.
Like shade.
Yeah.
True shade.
Yeah.
Speaking in ways that sound like I'm having a good time with you, but really, I cannot wait to slit your throat. You know what I mean?
Did you hear that transformation, listeners? That is called acting. That's exactly right. Like, you know, there's like a smoothness to their voice, but the words themselves are so cutting.
Yeah.
It's like icy cold. Well said, well put. Meryl is a really good example of that. Meryl? Did I say Meryl?
I heard Mural, and you know what?
Meryl.
I like it. Mural. Mural is a really good example of that.
I'll edit that in post, but that's a really good, her character in Devil Wears Prada. Yeah, there's something bone chilling about that. So you recognize that was like the first time you started to sort of get glimpses of kind of like foreshadowing what gay culture, like what life would kind of entail, or one of the elements of your life would entail.
No, you're right.
And sometimes I'm like, while I appreciate that, like the skill and the craft that's needed in order to, as they say, like throw shade or be cutting in this like really sharp, witty way, sometimes I'm like, well, let's relax a little bit and just be nice.
Of course.
Just gay men, I'm like, okay, I get it. You're gay. Now let's just be nice to me, please.
Yes. and just because you're gay does not make you a wordsmith, dear.
Yeah.
So
Gay and bitchy is no longer a personality.
No.
That's like not a thing anymore. And unfortunately,
No.
I think some people missed that memo.
But we appreciate the effort.
I love effort. I love effort.
I love effort as well.
Yeah. The whimsy, I feel like, is also part of why a lot of gay kids really love not just musical theater, but like television and movies. This like the ability to pretend, the ability to perform,
play
makes sense to me. Play. Exactly. I mean, it's when you boil it down, I think it's play.
Yeah.
And everywhere, like who doesn't love to play? You know what I mean? So that makes perfect sense to me. Tell me about, I want to talk about the inception, the birth of Tres Leches. I want to, how did that come to be? This is, to me, from my perspective, it is like the Avengers coming together in Endgame and being like, we're going to like beat Thanos. And I don't know who Thanos is in this iteration, in this analogy. Yeah.
The man.
Patriarchy.
Just the man.
But that, in my mind, that's how it felt to me. Like all the Avengers coming to, how did it come to be? Please
oh my God. Me. That's very sweet. You know, I remembered something that started to happen. So Juan Torres Falcon has been my best friend we have been friends and been in each other's lives since high school. He went to Gulliver Prep Academy in Miami, and I went to New World School of the Arts, and we met doing this performance troupe that we all like, that, you know, people from South Florida could audition for, called Broadway's Class Act. And we essentially were like a group that put up Broadway performance, like level numbers of the shows that were
Gotcha.
coming into
Okay.
town. And so that's how I met Juan, was like through this program thing that we did. And it was really fierce. Like a lot of those people are on television. Like we're all successful in our own way. So I just, as like some history, I've known Juan forever, and Johnny and Juan and I all became friends kind of at different times, but like we got a little closer, all three of us, I'd say, in the last like couple years. And a thread was started. So we started a thread, and Johnny, I remember one day was just like, I really want us to have a podcast. I love talking to you and Juan because we're just so fun to talk to, quite honestly. Like,
quite frankly,
we just keep it really real and fun. And like, it's what I love about talking to Juan is like, I learn so much when I talk to him. I learn so much about myself when I talk to him. And like, Johnny recognized that. He was like, oh my God, like, I think it would be really fun if we like found a way, because I want people to hear Juan's voice. I want people to hear your voice. And like, I think we could all have a magical thing together. And so we just kind of, I remembered I was in LA and I was like, yes.
Oh, so
like,
you were you still,
because you talk about an idea and
when
it's
this
like,
was coming together, like living there?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. It was the springish summer, the last spring summer, my last spring summer joggers while I was in LA. And it was great. Like we started, and there was this idea that like after our first episode, or like maybe our first production meeting or something like that, I was like, I noticed we all three have kind of come out of very deep, meaningful relationships all around the same time. Like my breakup with Chris, Juan's breakup with Jack, who he had been with for 8 years. And then, Johnny had broken up with Will that year as well. And so I was like, oh, there's something kind of First Wives Clubby about this, because I was very forthcoming. I'm very like, as you heard with my anecdote at the beginning, like I will share about a thing that's going on with me. And I just clocked this interesting through line between the three of us. And so this First Wives Club idea and sort of overall like vibe was kind of why we went with the First Wives Club artwork and just these three 27 plus year old women who are, just navigating their friendships. It's like we're navigating our friendship, all three together, being gay, all three from Miami, we're Latino, and like there's just I think like what we're now like realizing is like there kind of was like a bit of a void of, there is no and was no podcast or young gay Latin voice in this way, like, and we're all three very, very, and we joke about this, but like specific different kind of milks, one's evaporated, one's condensed, and one is regular, like for whatever makes tres leches. Like we really are that. So there's this kind of magical way that everything came together, and the picking of the name, I remember it was like, should it be this? Should it be that? Blah, blah, blah. And like, yeah, it's been really fun.
How did y'all land on tres leches? Which I love that dessert, obviously. I'm going to be honest with you. This is a hot take. I do love flan more. I'm going to be honest with you. I know some people don't like it, but that's just saying. And I have perfected
me gusta flan.
Not to brag. Making it, yeah.
Making it?
Not to brag.
Oh, well, that's different. If you can make the flan, that's really nice. For me,
I hear ya.
It's the texture, and just like growing up, I always was like, "¿Qué es? Me no me gusta flan." Like I think I'm gonna make this up right now, but like it just entered my life a little too late. So like when you grew up in the UK and we went to France a lot during vacations or whatever, I know what a terrible life. But like you had a lot of croissants and like crepes, and it's
more like bready, that dessert. Okay, not so much custardy, not so much that.
Yeah. And like, I think flan is like a more of a Mexican / Cuban. Like it just was not in my household in that way until we got to Miami, and it was like, oh, like flan and this and like pastelitos. But like I was more drawn to pastelito de guava and like all
I will
that kind
go
of
off
stuff.
on that. Yeah.
So yeah, flan just, love your work, flan, but I just
fair enough. Flan is doing like just fine. Don't you worry about she
doesn't need me. Okay.
She doesn't need your help. So then how did you land on tres leches? Sorry, we just went on a tangent.
Tres leches was one of those options that like, we had like a list of like 4 or 5 things. And I remember Johnny and I were on our way to Renaissance like concert in Portland or Seattle or something like that. And we were like picking it and we were like talking to the other friends about it. And it was like, so it's between this and this and that. And I forgot how we landed, but I do remember just loving that it sounded good. So like, even though they were like, well, isn't it, but what if it's some, cause someone was like, what if it's giving, are you going to talk about food? Are you talking about dessert and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, the way we'll sell it is just like, to me, it's punchy. And there was another option that I think we liked, but I can't remember what it was. Food option as well?
Okay.
No, actually, I don't think so. It really did. It was a standalone, and it's sweet,
and I love that. It gives the three of you an opportunity to identify as a milk. So obviously, I have to ask who is which milk, and why, and why. What does? And we can start with you, obviously.
Sure. Well, this morning I'm evaporated milk because I'm barely here. No, I don't know, actually. I feel like I'm going to go with condensed milk is Juan. I'll take evaporated milk, and then I'll give whole milk to
Why are you evaporated?
Johnny.
Sorry, listeners. He just made a really fun neck move just now.
Yeah, and face that's kind of because I don't know, I'm skinny. I don't know, not that Johnny and Juan aren't skinny, but you know what I mean. Evaporated milk. It's just give it. I don't know.
I am 100% condensed milk. I used to, when my mom would make it, I would 100% stick my finger in the can and eat it out of the can like some Willy Wonka ass kid.
We used to eat so bad.
I mean, I was raging in that house, woo!
You would never know from your skin. Your skin is beautiful,
and that wraps this episode up. I think we're done here.
Got what he needed.
Imagine this podcast is just to get compliments from as many people as possible.
Oh my god, that's why I do tres leches, by the way. Now I just go to see how funny I can be and make sure I get enough praise that it lasts.
I tell people all the time.
Recording.
Compliments is what sustains me. It's not so much food. Give me a compliment, I'm full. Bloated even.
Yeah, so you can now understand why yesterday I was
absolutely.
Why don't you like me?
Well, that's the thing. So I absolutely resonated with that story. I saw Omar in that so clearly, so vividly. I've got through a lot of my own therapy. I've gotten to a point now where if I have to ask why don't you like me, I'm I've trained my brain to be you must be the problem then. Because I am not a monster. I'm not. It would be.
Yes. Oh, I see. I was curious where that was going.
I would understand if someone was hey, you called me stupid and that really hurt my feelings. I'd be okay, 100%. But if I'm I can't put my finger on why you don't like me or why you're not nice to me, I've trained my brain to be this is you. Something's going on with you. And you and your therapist need to go talk about that. Maybe I remind you of your high school bully. Yeah. Maybe I remind you of an ex. Maybe there's so many things. And I think being a therapist has helped that part of my brain to work because it's a lot. We talk a lot about transference in therapy, which is a client's feelings towards a therapist that don't even really have anything to do with the therapist. So
meaning their feelings
about you. So a client might come in and they might automatically really, really dislike you, or on the other end of the spectrum, really, really like you a little too much without even really knowing you as a clinician. And all of that is referred to as transference. And so I've been ghosted by clients, for example, who've never explained, they've come in for a few sessions and then one day they just disappear. They don't answer my emails. They don't take my phone calls. And it's one of those things where in school, they talk about this a lot. This is going to happen to you. And we talk a lot about you have no control over that. And you can guess, until you're blue in the face and never know why a client just ghosted you. And so you have to get used to being able. It's giving Grindr.
It's giving Grindr.
Yes. Oh my God. My grad school was giving Grindr.
For therapy.
Okay. Yeah. So there was a lot of conversations and theories around why clients do that. And it basically boils down to it really has nothing to do with you. It has to do with what feelings your presence inspired in them. Right. And so that is usually where my mind goes with like people when I'm not at work, just like, oh, something's going on with them. Like something's happening internally to them that I have triggered unintentionally, and they don't know how to navigate it other than being this way with me.
How fierce. I've triggered something. It's actually, if you think, when you think about it that way, it's like, oh, that's kind of, Are you okay?
What?
Did I engage something in you right now? Fierce. Okay. Like you deal with that, but like, look at the power I have. That's actually
you just
way
boiled
more
all
empowering.
that down way more succinctly. Yes. What you just said. Yeah. It's like, oh, I triggered something in you. Okay. Fierce. Well, good luck with that. I'm going to go reclaim my power real quick. Yes. No, never take my power. So what has been, and you can pick like, I don't know, top 3 or whatever, just what have been some of the most exciting, meaningful, just like memorable moments from the Tres Leches podcast, whether it's a guest or maybe it was a conversation or maybe it was anything at all. I'm like really curious to hear, because I feel like you, Johnny and Juan are like my future. I like look at you guys and I'm like, okay, you guys are on the horizon. And so I'm like looking to you to know what's going to happen, basically.
Wow, Omar, that's so sweet. Like that's very, very, like, thank you for saying that. You know, one of my favorite things about the podcast is like Johnny and Juan's like vulnerability on it. Like I can get a little deflecty with how I share, and like I can, you know, everyone's always like, oh my God, I relate so much to Ian, because I do pick and choose some stories that I know I like feel comfortable, like, you know, whatever, talking about, but they are hidden in humor a lot. Like sometimes I notice when I listen back, I'm like, oh, like what's like a little I wish I could get a little bit more to the heart of that matter, rather than just like throwing the spaghetti on the wall and like not discussing what the spaghetti is, right? And Juan and Johnny, I feel like what I love about when they share about what's going on with them, specifically Juan, because he's had this last year and a half that's like he started a new job, he's gotten a new relationship, and he has come to work and shared how honest it is to get everything you want and yet also feel like you don't have what you want at all. Like you're still not happy, or that everything is going well, but he's like, but I am feeling unwell a lot. And just like to hear someone be honest about that just reminds me about like why they're my friends. And so like, I think my favorite part about the podcast is just how healing it is for me. Like I walk away, and every time, you know, now we do it bi-weekly, and we used to do it every week, but because we're working girls and girls got to eat, new jobs and blah blah blah, like we made it correct. We switched it to why we got to eat. Were you referencing First Wives Club when you said that? No. Oh
yeah. Oh yeah.
Should we get lunch? I have a car. And then Brenda walks. I have a limo. I love that. I love that movie. That movie also made me gay. That movie, Practical Magic. We talked about this, but yeah, like so overall, like my favorite part about Tres Leches are Johnny and Juan. You know, and not to toot, but again, I'm quoting myself here. Gonna toot here. Like I also like how I have been able to see them grow at how like they've. You know, if I'm Katie Couric, then like Johnny's Barbara Walters comes out, like he's very hosty vibes, you know, like he's like, so tell me about, but like he turns into a host, and then Juan is giving like Hoda fucking copy, Good Day America, you know what I mean? And it's fun to be around because like I'm the other funny person who like I don't know, like there's just this way that like we get to come
and like
to work
grow
and play
and grow. I'm sorry, and just like grow. Like what's lovely to hear and see is that the three of you are growing and learning as individuals in all these different ways, but the friendship is also growing. And that's what's lovely to see about the podcast is the evolution of the friendship, and the three of you just like getting closer and closer, and that bond becoming stronger and stronger, I think is what makes the podcast so it just like makes it so like heartwarming and entertaining at the same time, because it's like an actual actual friends, and these are people that want to actually be friends, and so that's like so lovely to see.
Speaking of, that's one of the things about being on this podcast is like we're the ones doing all the like social media and this and that, and like, you know, you're creating your own thing, and it's like we don't have anyone else doing this for us. And one of the hardest things to manage is like sort of sometimes our energy levels don't match around like, so if I'm in my show that I'm doing right now, like I'm on a showgirl schedule, and so Johnny takes up a lot of the, okay, this is what I think for our next episode, or he'll do the social clips, and just there's a way that like we divide up the
responsibilities, the admin
tasks,
stuff.
You know, just kind of depending on who is available and what can be done. And so like, you know, one of the things is like we try to really be good about collaborating online and like making sure that the videos get posted, and like if you don't collab at the same time. And so that's why I was screaming, because we had an 11 a.m. reminder, and Johnny was like, just remember to collab tomorrow. And I'm like, it's not there though. Like, you didn't
How
do it, girl.
am I going to collab? How am I supposed to collab?
Where's the real? Anyway, sorry.
The inner workings
you can delete that.
Of this podcast. That's so great.
Exactly. But yeah. And then I think maybe like on a not so, you know, us, the just love the boys answer, one of my favorite episodes was the Mario episode. Because he interviews himself. He's just such a good guest. You ask him one question, and then he will talk for the hour.
Engaged.
In a way that you're like, it's so engaged, and like he has stories to tell. He's so fucking funny. And like, it is what drew me to him as a friend when we started working together, because I was like, oh, you are everything. You're just, you know, and I want to learn from you. Just being in his presence, and like, if you watch that episode, I'm literally just like laughing and looking at him like when you just watch someone who you idolize, you know, and like, because he just has the gift, the greatest gift.
No, that's really impressive. And you can see that come out not just when he is doing interviews, but even in his work. It just like pours out of him. And I'm like, how it just seems infinite. I'm like, how do you do it? It's so impressive. Yeah. So to wind things down, I like to ask my guest all one question. And the question is, Ian, what is one piece of advice or one piece of wisdom that you got from the therapy world? So this can be a piece of advice that you got from a therapist, or maybe you saw a therapist on TV, or maybe you read it in a book, something that really you take with you everywhere you go.
Something was said to me when I was in LA in these last couple months, because I had been reconnecting with one of my best friends from high school. I was like, oh, I'm going to go back to New York and check in with my life over there. And then she kind of like looked at me, and she just very, I don't know, like she just hooked right into me, and she was like, wait, she's like, Ian, like, what do you check in on your life? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, Ian, but like your life is where you are. And she said that, and I could cry thinking about it, because like ever since she said that to me, and even hearing it, like saying it again, you're just like, she was so right. And she's not a therapist. We could Esther Perel and, you know, like, honestly,
or
just
not.
Esther Perel.
We can or not ours,
And sure. But, you know, I've talked about the mating in captivity and all of that for so long, and that's so instilled in me, and sometimes I use it and sometimes I don't. But like this moment that my best friend Lana said to me has really impacted me in these last couple months, because when you are a actor and a bit of a nomad, and like you can be wherever you want to be, sometimes there's this uneasiness that comes with the freedom you get, because you're like, oh, like I feel like I need to check in with New York, and like if I'm not sitting in New York waiting for an audition, or like here energetically declaring that I'm ready for work or something like that, like that I'm doing something bad, I'm not being a good student of life. And so when she said, she's like, but your life is where you are, like, so if you're here now, like your life is here, like you don't have to go check in on anything. That has really kind of reminded me, and just it got me to be more present, and like surrendering to just where I am, and that like I am not in the class of life, like there's no failing, there's no one who is keeping tabs on you except you. she was like, why are you keeping tabs on yourself? Like,
Right.
just be where you are, you know? And I don't know, that sentence, and I shared it with another friend of mine who, like, my friend Rob, who literally has been like, what was that thing you said to me once? And blah, blah, blah. And he was like, wow, like, I love that, because he also loves to travel. And so there's this way that I think if you're someone who, like me, has a bit of like wanderlust in you, that sentiment of like, your life is where you are is very helpful, because
that is such a, I know your friend isn't a therapist. That is such a therapist-y, I would say, like, thing to do, to clock something that feels off the cuff. Like you weren't thinking heavily about it. You were just like kind of making an off the cuff like remark, like a little funny, cute remark. Oh, I'm going to go check in my life in New York. And it is such a therapist-y thing to do, to hone in on something that seems totally innocuous and harmless and go, whoa. What do you mean? What is that? What's going on over here? And to sort of make you, with a magnifying glass, zero in on it and recognize in that moment, like for you, right? They're like, oh, I'm separating myself from my life. Like, I am thinking of my life as one thing and me as something else. Yes. And I don't have to do that. That's like, I don't need to do that. It's one and the same. So I love that. How astute of your friend. That's like a very, exactly. Yeah, that's so lovely.
Yeah. And it was just such a helpful thing to say.
Ian, this has been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming here with 4 hours of sleep. You were
How'd
perfect.
I do?
You were absolutely perfect. I obviously expected you to be perfect, so no surprise here. So where can people find you?
Well, depending on the Saturday night, you can find me at Basement.
Confronting someone.
You can find me on
don't we like each other or not? Do we find each other attractive or not?
Oh God, that's so good. Like, when this all gets put in the film, people are gonna be like, I love that scene. Oh my God, I can't believe that crazy person said that. But then we're gonna love that crazy person. And they're gonna be like, oh my God, that was a real person. Yes, his name is Ian Paget. And you can find him on Instagram at Ian Paget, for those who need to hear it phonetically, Paget, and on TikTok, Ian Paget _. And also the podcast Tres Leches that I co-host with Johnny Sibley and Juan Torres Falcon, you can find also on Instagram. It's Tres Leches the Pod. And we have a YouTube channel, and, you know, because so many of you were like, I want to see your faces and your reactions. So if you're that person who like loves to watch very animated faces, go to our YouTube.
Beautiful.
They're there.
Thank you again so much.
Oh my God, of course. Omar, and you were amazing. And
Thank you.
Congrats on this, and good luck on everything. And I can't wait to see this blossom and grow. And truly, like, I'm just really honored, and I'm very deeply touched that you asked me to be a part of it.
And that's a wrap on today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed that and had fun. So yes, I am a therapist, but please keep in mind that this podcast is no substitute for good old-fashioned therapy. So take what's useful, leave the rest, and don't forget, therapy makes you hotter.